So today, this is a little bit different. This video. By the way, my name is Rod, and this is PhD Student Life. I've been an ESL teacher for 15 years, teaching foreign students how to communicate in English. I've helped many PhD students since 2012, about 6 years now. So today, I want to talk about very simple grammatical English problems or English grammar. You may say, so what? I'm a PhD student. I'm smarter than that. Sure you are. But why is it in so many assignments, PhD assignments, we get feedback or complaints from the supervisor you're not using the correct English. So today we're just going to address some simple, very basic English grammar. By the way, I help students how to enter a PhD program. I help them how to write weekly PhD assignments. I show them how to qualify for a PhD dissertation proposal. I actually help them how to write that proposal. I've also taught part-time at university. So today, the 9th of June 2018, I want to share with you about the modals will, would, can, and could. I can hear you saying, oh no, what do I need to know that for? Trust me, I look at so many supervisor feedback, so much of it. And so much of it is about common writing problems, and that's what we're going to address today. So please bear with me if you think you know this. There's a lot of confusion out there about the use of the words would and could. Many PhD students don't use these words correctly. And to be honest with you, as English native speakers, we don't either. In our normal day-to-day chat and talk, we don't use them properly. We often mix them up, but some PhD supervisors are very strict about how you use these words. For example, a supervisor feedback states, you need to address grammatical issues. Your first reaction, what? What issues? What grammar? It could be anything. It could mean anything, right? You're right. You may be incorrectly using can, would, could, and so on. So that's what we're going to focus briefly on today. So let me share with you some general guidelines. And please forgive me if this sounds so basic, but there's a very real reason I'm sharing this with you today. Just bear with me and watch. It's a simple language we screw up on in PhD. How do I know? I've been reading this type of supervisor's feedback for years. It's really basic stuff, and there's a basic stuff which creates so much stress. So here's the first guideline. Would is the past tense of will. I will do this, I would do this. Could is the past tense of can. Okay, I know this is really kindergarten stuff, but just bear with me. The second guideline is, how would we use would or could in a sentence structure for, say, an assignment or a PhD dissertation? For example, if you're making a request to your supervisor, you may ask, would you please explain what you mean in your feedback? So here you're expecting something. It's very probable. It's likely, right? Or alternatively, you could say, could you explain what you meant in your feedback? Here, by using could, not would, you're not so sure. You're not so sure as it's possible. Maybe it's not so likely. So one difference between would and could is one is more possible, more likely, whereas the could is not so possible and not so likely. Please stay with me on this one. Here's a third guideline. Would can also be viewed as more polite than could because it expresses the idea of probability, of willingness, the desire that something will be done. Note that again, will and would. Will is now, would is past. Would you help me please? Or will you help me please? It's kind of polite. But if you say could is something more about not so willing. Yes, I can. It's possible not to. Or it's not so likely. Could you help me please? It's kind of a little bit less polite. It's a little bit less optimistic. Less likely. All right? Would and could. Let's go a little bit further, shall we? The fourth guideline. Let's look at what's probable or likely. For example, you will not get an A grade if you ignore your supervisor's feedback. It probably will not happen. Okay? Now, as you're predicting the future, let's look at possible or not so likely. Notice the difference there? Probable, likely, possible, not so likely. There is a small chance, possibility, you could get an A grade if you ignored your supervisor's feedback, but it probably would not happen. You get that? There's a small chance, a small possibility you could get an A grade if you ignored your supervisor's feedback, but it probably would not happen. You would be more likely to get a higher grade if you use the correct English in your PhD assignment. All right, this is the last guideline, the fifth one. What about impossibility? You sometimes need to talk about what's impossible. Not what's likely or unlikely, but what's impossible or cannot happen. This we sometimes call third conditional. You could say, it could have been, which is the past participle, by the way, it could have been possible to get an A grade if you had used the correct English in your PhD assignment, but you didn't. It's over. It's gone. You can't wind the clock back. Note the words have been and had. Indicates impossibility. Why? The time has gone already. You can't go back to the past. Or not in this video. Or, another way you could say this, stating what's impossible, is to say, it would have been impossible to get an A grade if you had not used the correct English in your PhD assignment. Both ways state what's impossible or what cannot happen. So, my friend, I know this is very simple, very basic, but you won't believe how often I come across the simple misuse of these words and their meanings within PhD. It's unbelievable. I come across it so often. And guess what? When you understand the basic truths or the basic truisms about these words, it means that you can avoid these problems. So please forgive me if you already know this stuff. Let me ask you, do you have a problem you can't fix? Do you need help with your grammar? If so, just click on the link below and simply contact me for free advice. Would you like me to proofread your work? I may need to charge you a little bit for that, but it's relatively cheap. Please check out my website or just send me an email. Also, please subscribe and even link on the like button. And finally, thank you so much for listening to me and watching this video. Good night.